everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, Wizard Kid is Life, Wizard Kid here. Now I'm back for part 4, I think this is. 4 or 5 I think I'm up to. But I'm doing 100 Tales from Australia's Most Haunted Places. But this is the one with this book. I'm only doing one full story, but it's part 1, 2 and 3. It's got 3 parts for it. And it's actually known as Australia's most haunted, because I am Australian, most haunted house or mansion, called the Monte Cristo. So let's do this. And it's called The Spooks of Monte Cristo. Part 1. It's in June, New South Wales. But it's spelled G-U-N-E-E. Sounds like we've got more campers. Oh, you're not meant to know that. Or at least someone's camping. Monte Cristo Homestead advertises itself as Australia's most haunted house, which in itself isn't all that impressive. I mean, anyone can advertise themselves as anything they want. This book, for example, is Australia's funniest ever book. See how easy it is? But Monte Cristo has, if not an actual certificate proving its prime status. Why does it smell it smells moist? I don't know, it smells moist. Moving on. Weirdly enough, I can smell that. It's prime status. At least a few receipts backing its story up. It is an imposing old pile in Junie. J-U-N-E-E. New South Wales. I'm in New South Wales. In the Riverina region of New South Wales. By the way, I was joking about someone coming and camping. Does sound like someone's backing up, but this is next to a caravan park, so we're good. You're welcome. Region of New South Wales. Surrounded by gorgeous green scenery, the house is one of the loveliest examples of old world charm to be found in Australia. And by day, a delightful place to drop in for a Devonshire tea and a souvenir carriage wheel, if that's the sort of thing that gets your blood pumping. If your arteries activate at more eldritch stimulus, however, you might rather visit Monte Cristo by night, where its popular ghost tours expose eager visitors to the full array of horrors that the homestead has to offer. The fact that the punters keep coming back suggests there is generally something eerie going on out Junie way. That or the place has some great booze. If you're not Australian, booze is another word for alcohol. You might use that, I have no idea. Monte Cristo was built by local pioneer Christopher William Crawley in 1885 on a hill overlooking June. So everyone in the town could look up every day and be reminded of how much richer he was. An archaic word meaning white guy. Ooh, girl. Stereotypes. Then them. Crowley and his wife, Elizabeth, had found it so difficult to find a decent hobby that they had 7 children. Were happy at Monte Cristo. Elizabeth, not even minding that her husband named their house after a depressing tale of obsessive revenge, but darker days lay ahead for the family and the house. In 1910, Christopher Crawley died at Monte Cristo of blood poisoning, caused by a carbuncle on his neck that had become infected from rubbing against his starched collar. This was the kind of thing that happened all the time in 1910. What with the popularity of ludicrously high stiff collars combined with carbuncles, still being a thing, but Elizabeth never recovered from the shock of her husband's death. Locking herself inside the house and shunning outside society in her grief. In the 23 years between Christopher's death and Elizabeth, She only left the house twice, spending most of her time in a chapel she built in the attic to make the house more like a horror movie set. There she would stay, day after day, kneeling and praying and generally making herself as creepy as possible, so that when people told other people this story, they'd feel cold and think they saw something fluttering out of the corner of their eye. In 1933, Elizabeth Crawley died at the age of 92 of a ruptured appendix. But this was not enough to stop her. In fact, both of the Crawleys are said to be hanging around Monte Cristo, possibly because they get a cut of the ghost tour takings. Christopher Crawley can be found haunting the room where he died, but despite his unfortunate demise, he is generally in a fairly genial mood, and those who wander into his territory need have no fear. Elizabeth is a different matter. She was a difficult woman at the best of times. Not that you could blame her. She had 7 children, which would make anyone a little tetchy. But in death, she has continued to exhibit the judgmental streak that her life as a compulsive breeder turned religious zealot had brought out in her. Anyone who enters her house can expect a quick summing up by the mariachi, and if she doesn't like you, she'll do her best to get you out of there. Elizabeth Crawley's go-to move is the classic invisible freezer. She comes down on you in the form of a rush of ice-cold air that prickles on your skin and chills your bones, as if you've been shut inside a meat locker or just got an invitation to a fancy dress party. Sometimes she gets a little more specific and you'll feel an actual hand on your shoulder, fingers digging into you as if it to say, "Did I spend 23 years praying in the attic like a loon just so the likes of you can come and eat scones in my living room?" Miss Crawley definitely doesn't take kindly to visitors, but her spiral into madness and subsequently incorporeal gatekeeping of her home was far from the end of Monte Cristo's nightmarish biography. But that's another chapter, and in fact, it is. We're going on to chapter 2, because these 3 chapters, part 1, part 2, part 3, all get one video together. I ain't doing multiple parts for them. The Spooks of Monte Cristo, part 2. We've already covered the matter of Christopher Crawley, the builder of Monte Cristo homestead, and his unhappy wife, Elizabeth, who creeps around the corridors giving chills to paying guests. But a place doesn't earn the sobriquet I can't pronounce. Bear with me. Australia's most haunted house, just because of one creepy couple. This old farmhouse has seen a lot more tragedy in its time, and it currently positively crawling with unhappy paranormals who can't find their way to the afterlife. If you go to Monte Cristo today, and it'll only cost you $15 to do so, or $125 if you want dinner, or $195 if, God help you, you want to stay the night. Because yes, you can stay the night here, you have to book it, and you do have to pay. Am I ever going to go there? No. That's probably for the best, because I'm already creeped out in here. And this museum is not even haunted. The only ghosts I know of are from the couple that died in the caravan park next door. But they don't haunt the place, so we're good. We're getting there. God help you, you want to stay the night. You'll find on one of the stairs leading up to the front door a patch of concrete that doesn't match the rest of the staircase. It's discoloured, a lighter shade than the surrounding steps. And it might stun you to learn this, but the reason it's a lighter shade than the others is, brace yourself, a spine-chilling one. For it seems that the Crawleys had a maid, and it seems that this maid was a very good maid. So good, in fact, that Mr. Crawley engaged her for certain extra duties outside normal working hours. And I think we all know what that is. certain duties that end up with unfortunate consequences. And I don't just mean that increased frequency of Mrs. Crawley's migraines. Going for dinner and not staying the night seems a bit uneconomical, to be honest. The food ain't that good. The maid found herself in a problematic condition, one which was, to say the least, quickly going to become difficult to conceal from the general public. Monte Cristo Homestead was not, at this time, a happy place to be, especially for the maid, but perhaps even more especially for Mrs. Crawley. And it's likely that Mr. Crawley wasn't feeling overly festive either. Now, what happened next is a matter of some conjecture. Some say that the maid, overwhelmed by the misery of her position, took a walk up to the house's balcony and threw herself off it. Others say that Mrs. Crawley, overwhelmed by the misery of her position, and Mrs. Crawley usually was, went up to the balcony where the maid had just a minute earlier also gone and gave the poor girl a quick shove. Either way, the result was the same. The maid plummeted to the staircase below and met her violent end. The light patch on the step is where bleach was used to clean the girl's blood from the concrete, which is a charming detail that, previously discussed, you can experience up close for $15. Not a lot. I don't know how much that would be in American or if that'd be the same American, but we digress. It's in Australian currency. Australian. Far more interesting than a patch of bleach cement, though, is the maid herself. For one assumes it is she who has been seen walking along the veranda to the spot where her life ended, pale and silent and dressed immaculately in late Victorian style. She strolls back and forth, oblivious to all around her, recalling the terrible day when she either cracked under the pressure of middle-aged morality or cracked under the pressure of her employer's hand in the small of her back. Notably, the maid does not appear inside the house, where Mrs. Crawley's spirit seems to reign, putting the freeze on any intruders of who she disapproves. With the mistress inside, it would appear that the poor maid has been barred from the warmth and comfort of the house, cursed to simply wander the grounds and contemplate her own death. Visitors to Monte Cristo can also enjoy a walk up to the very balcony from which the maid fell. Feelings of vertigo have been reported in those who take that walk and look down on the yard. The balcony, it's said, gives one of the feeling that it slopes down, as if trying to pitch anyone who stands on it over the rail. When you take in the scene of the tragedy at Monte Cristo, can't help but feel an overwhelming sadness, all the more so if you're lucky or unlucky enough to see the maid on her rounds, deaf and blind to the world's comforts, and yet this grim homestead has even more horrors to disgorge. Which moves on to part 3 and final part for this story. Before we do one more story, because I did get special permission for this. Spooks of Monte Cristo Part 3. Hang on, let me just move the tag so it's not over the words. We return once again to our beloved Monte Cristo homestead. The June house, where it's all ghosts all the time, or your money back. We know of the unhappy Mrs. Crawley, and the even less happy maid who went headlong over the balcony and onto the steps below. But the horrors of the homestead don't stop there. They don't even stop at the house itself. The stables at Monte Cristo give off a foul energy. Visitors have said they can't even bring themselves to go near them. Such is the dread radiating from the building. This may be connected to the stable boy, who once worked there, who was burned alive in his bed by his master. Today, that stable boy's melancholy presence. As I said, I struggle with saying certain words. Please bear with me. Might be because of my intellectual disability. We're getting there. Can be felt in the coach house. but for something really disturbing, the kind of thing that will keep ping-ponging around your brain for weeks and make the $15 you paid to visit Monte Cristo well worthwhile. For that, you'll want to head to the caretaker's cottage. There, beside the doorway, you'll find a short, rusty chain hanging from the wall, and a deep groove in the wall with a chain attached to it. This chain belonged to Harold. Harold was the son of the housekeeper of Monte Cristo. Once upon a time, as a child, Harold was discovered to be intellectually disabled, although you can pretty sure that wasn't the term they used at the time. It was far less enlightened era when it came to disabilities. So the love and support one might expect a child like Harold to receive today was not granted to the poor lad. Instead, going by the most cutting-edge medical and psychological advice available at the time, they decided to help Harold to lead a rich and fulfilling life by chaining him to a wall. While his mother worked in the house, Harold would stay on that short chain, alone in the cottage. Nothing to do but pace back and forth just as far as his metal leash would let him, which wasn't far at all. The groove in the walls is where Harold wore away the brickwork with his chain, dragging it up and down day after day for 40 years. Yes, 40 years. For 40 years, Harold lived on the end of that chain, forbidden from leaving the cottage or seeing anyone but his family, whose shame at his presence was so overwhelming. For 40 years, his mother kept her son from the world, shackled like a dog. When the housekeeper died, they found her lying in the cottage with Harold curled up at her feet. Harold was unchained and sent to a home for the insane, where he too soon passed away, and then he came back. Free at last, Harold now roams the grounds of Monte Cristo homestead. He's looking for his mother, who left him so many years ago with no explanation that he could understand. He's looking for answers about what has happened to him and to the house. He's looking for a friend, maybe you. So don't be scared when you're in the yard at Monte Cristo and you hear the clacking of chains being dragged towards you across the stones. Don't be afraid as they get louder and louder. The closer Harold comes to you, don't be frightened. When the chains stop clanking and you feel hot, heavy breath on your neck, don't be terrified. When you feel a hand grab for yours, or when you hear a whisper in your ear, Harold was so lonely for 40 years, he's just happy that you're here and that you'll be friends forever. So that's it for the Monte Cristo. We've got one more story, and I'm going to do that in a minute. I'm going to turn this off and then start a new video, because I'm doing multiple parts for different stories. Monte Cristo got its own part because it was the same place and it was part 1, part 2, part 3. But this final story we're going to get to. So I love yous all. I am incredibly creeped down in here. And I love yous. Wizard Kid out.